Okay, so this is going to be an update video and a mowing video with this LX176. I've done a couple things to it since I made the last video, but luckily with the shape this tractor's in, it didn't need a whole lot of work, but I still, found a couple things that needed fixing and did a little work to it, so I'll just go over that real quick. Not sure if you can tell, but I cleaned the tractor up. I took it out and pressure washed it. I got all the grease and crap off of the frame and cleaned it all up. You can see it's real shiny. I cleaned the deck up too, but I've been mowing with it, so the deck got dirty again. But I'm surprised how little rust it has, considering that the spindle covers are off. You can see that there's almost no rust in there, which is great. Must be a pretty low-hour tractor. I decided to keep the hood on it, even with the big chunk missing out of it, because if you take the top section off, then you lose this whole decal here, and that kind of looks crappy if you just leave the bottom section on it. So I decided to leave this on. I'm just wondering if maybe I can kind of even this up a little bit and just kind of smooth this out all around, and because you see that side's higher than this side, maybe I can cut both sides off. I'm not sure what I'll do, but I just gave it a couple little tune-up. I tuned it up just a little bit. I greased the steering spindles, and it actually had already steered pretty easily. It looked like it hadn't been greased in a while, but I greased it, and it didn't make much of a difference, but it still steers just a little easier, so that's good. There was a mess of duct tape all over this one side here, and I figured out, okay, they probably had it on there to hold a little piece on, but I looked on the inside, and there was no crack. So the duct tape wasn't holding anything, so I peeled it off and it left all this residue because it was such a hot day. I was like, oh great. So I sprayed WD-40 all over it and scrubbed it off with a rag, and it came off and it looks real nice, even with the top section missing. But yeah, I think what happened was they were holding, when the top section was still on it, they were holding that on with the duct tape, and then that just broke, or they pulled it right off and they left the rest of the duct tape on here. But it looks good. I mean, it's got scratches from being used, but the person who had it before lived in the woods, so I mean, it's all scratched up along here, but it doesn't really matter. The grill's not busted, and the bumper's not busted either. I think the muffler has a couple holes in it though, because I ran seafoam through this tractor a few days ago, and it was smoking out all sides of the muffler. So that's that, and the fact that the top of the hood is gone is they're the two reasons why it's so loud. You can see this is not the original seat. The original seat was it had duct tape all over it, and it looked like crap. You can kind of see there, and the bottom of the pan was all rusted too. And only for some reason this only uses one spring, but you can see it's all rusted here, and actually, it's upside down, but that says June 6, 1996. These seats are made by the Michigan Seat Company. I'm not sure if John Deere has had their seats made by them for a long time or what, but the 210 seat doesn't say that on it, so, but that's a heavier seat. But this seat is obviously not new. It's got a couple imperfections, but this seat's off of the LT133 that the guy had. I went to check it out yesterday, and I paid him for it, but I'm not bringing it home until I do something. I might get rid of this tractor. I'm not sure. I'm just trying to think about it. But right now, yesterday we went over there, and I took the seat. This seat mount was such a pain to get off. It was unbelievable. It used the plastic handles. The plastic handles they're real pointy. They're real sharp and pointy, so I couldn't get a good grip on them to unscrew them. This one came off easy, but this one didn't. And I kept, soaking it with WD-40 and trying to hit it and loosen it and turn it with vice grips and stuff, but it didn't help. So I actually had to, once I got that one out, I had to yank the seat off. I yanked the seat to the side, right to the point where the carriage bolt underneath could slip through this little slot here. And eventually it did. It bent this up, but I had to bend it back with a hammer. It was no big deal. But then I went to look at the LT133, and it ended up having a whole different seat mount. That seat adjusts down the middle here, not on the sides. So I said, okay, I'll just use the original mount. So on the LT133, there was a pin here and a pin here, and we just knocked them out. And this seat mount just has one long pin, and sure enough, it lined right up, and I slipped it right through, and it's not perfect, like I said, but it looks a lot better now. And the LT133 is more of a parts tractor because that's a bigger mess. So I figured I'll just put the junk seat on it. Probably only be worth about $200 when I get rid of it, but it's not here yet. You haven't seen it yet, so yeah, I'm impressed with how the seat turned out, and that was one of my biggest concerns. It has a little bit of rust down in that corner, but nothing major. And I replaced that with a regular bolt and a wing nut. So, and I got finally, now that I got the new bolts and wing nuts put on it, I got it adjusted to where it was comfortable for me. And then one more thing, I'll try to make this quick so we can have more mowing time. For some reason I couldn't get the tractor was mulching the grass and it wasn't bagging. So I took this part of the mulch plug off. Turns out it was a two-piece mulch plug. It had this piece here with all these little holes in it. And then I looked around a little more, and I thought this piece here was welded underneath the deck, but it actually wasn't. So I just took the couple bolts out of that, and it came right off. Let me see if I can pull this out. So now it's all clear down here, and it's got the high lift blades on it, as you can see, but it still has the mulching baffles and stuff under it, and the anti-blowout kit, this metal plate down here, because it has really good suction because it's such a small deck. I was having trouble because it was just the first couple times I mowed with it, it was only mulching the grass. It wasn't actually bagging it up. And some of it would get blown up into the bagger, but it would get clogged up. So I learned you can really only bag when it's really, really dry, even if it's just a little bit wet. You really can't. So anyway, this is going to take a while today, but I have some time, so why don't we go out and mow with this thing? You guys get to see how she mows. Actually, no, let's start it up now. Yeah, it's a little loud, but like I said, it's got a hole in the muffler. So I'll just let this run for a few minutes and warm up, and then we'll go out and mow. I put the deck down to 3 inches off the ground. That's where I usually mow with this. The little Kawasaki purrs like a kitten. got the bagger, and I would clean the chute out, the bagger chute. I'd make about 2 or 3 rounds, and then it would clog up again, and it just kept doing that, and then it would just start mulching the grass. You can see the lawn looks like a hayfield. It just left the grass everywhere. So I just kind of looked at it, and all I had to do was adjust my height. I adjusted it to 3.5 inches off the ground instead of 3. And it actually, the height does not seem to make much of a difference, because the deck doesn't have a lot of travel anyway, so 3.5 inches doesn't make much of a difference from 3 inches. So, but I cleaned up this whole section here in the front yard, and now I'm going to go work on this here, clean it up a bit. This is how it should work. For so long I couldn't figure out why it wasn't working like it should. But you can't exactly mulch and bag at the same time. It's kind of contradict each other. See, it's picking it all up. That's good. The grass isn't too wet, but it's still, it's still kind of moist from the sprinklers and stuff like that. Now if it starts leaving grass behind, I'll know the bagger's full. That's how it should be working. Yeah, I'd say she's about full. Well, got all the grass picked up and the lawn looks like it should now, so now I know better for next time. This is the cool part about having a small deck. Watch this.